Hi everybody. The claim today that I'm responding to is excessive consumption of television by children negatively affects their childhood development. My opponent's secondary claims were 1. Television negatively affects on how child development, 2. Television viewing can promote more violent and aggressive behavior, and 3. Television negatively affects children's learning abilities. Now, she goes on for her first claim on saying television affects health development and most of their time is spent indoors watching TV. When in reality, Dr. John P. Robinson explains that children from ages 4 to 12 spend most of their time at school, which involves 7 to 8 hours on active involvement in the classroom, and out of these hours, 1.5 are spent in physical involvement. Later, childhood obesity, in fact, is a fact in our society, but the marketing of fast foods on television isn't what is actually causing it. There are many reasons why children become obese. Did you know that 1 in 5 children become obese because genetically it runs in the family? For example, according to Susan Bianchi, in fact, infants born to overweight moms have been found to be less active and gain more weight by the age of 3 months. In addition, Dr. Bruce Woodhouse says that television has a minimal participation in child obesity. The truth of the matter is that our Western society today, many households need both working parents and causing minimal attention to children and resort to fast foods as a result. Now, my opponent's secondary claims, she says that television can provoke more violent and aggressive behaviors from children by watching shows like The Simpsons and Family Guy. There's no doubt that The Simpsons and Family Guy portray negative family values, but in reality, imitations of Jackass seem too far-fetched for children to actually succeed in. We don't see many kids or hear many kids that are actually catapulting themselves 50 feet across grass or anything like that. And according to the Department of Health from the University of Michigan, shows that television isn't exactly a bad thing. Television has its good side. It can be entertaining and educational and can open up new worlds for kids, giving them a chance to travel the globe, learning about different cultures, and gain exposure to ideas they may never encounter in their own communities. Shows with pro-social messages can have a positive effect on kids' behaviors. Programs with positive role models can influence viewers to make positive lifestyle changes. According to psychologist Jay Nelson, a household that requires both parents to work excessively can still have a higher impact on their child more than a regular television show can. Here we see that television shows are far-fetched and overall a parent has a bigger influence than The Simpsons or Family Guy. Finally, her third claim, she says that television negatively affects children's learning abilities. On the contrary, many television shows are positive factors in children's learning lives before being exposed to preschool or elementary. She goes on to say that one study found that more time in front of the TV during weekdays meant poorer school performance in school. This one study seems vague to me, especially because she gives no credibility where the study actually was performed and how many students were actually involved in this particular study. She also has another quote that says, "To learn to speak, babies benefit from social interactions." There's actually no doubt about that, but I can't seem to connect that this has anything to do with television negatively affecting children. We can all agree that talking to a baby helps them understand and develop their language skills. On the other hand, television shows can actually help children speak and read. For example, shows like Sesame Street, according to author Malcolm Gladwell, Sesame Street has been subject to more academic scrutiny than any television show in history. It has been proven to increase the reading and learning skills of its viewers. And finally, another television show that comes to mind is Blue's Clues and Dora the Explorer. These shows are meant to attract the child that is watching the show. They ask the child, the good thing about this, they ask the child a question, then pause for a response. Also, the show Blue's Clues is successful in repetition of one episode for the whole week. By the end of the week, the child could successfully know and remember what the words and phrases were. In conclusion, the exposure of television consumption by children, in fact, do not affect them negatively. It can actually be beneficial to them. Thank you.
All right, the main and secondary claims are labeled. As you get to each point, you do a clear job transitioning those points. There's a counterclaim on the first point based on the amount of time that kids spend at school. That's an interesting one. I'm not sure that either the advocate or you showed that the amount of time spent someplace is automatically the strongest indicator of what impact something's going to have. You did have a good counterclaim on the obesity issue, arguing that it was genetics and child rearing that contributes to this primarily, and I thought you had some good evidence on that point. I think you needed a little stronger challenge to the way that the advocate was reasoning on those points, and that would have made your argument a little more complete on that. On the violence issue, there's a little bit of discussion on whether or not kids are going to mimic shows like Jackass. You've got a complete assertion on this that it's not really going to happen, or you don't hear much about it, but I'm not sure that that means that it doesn't happen just because you don't hear about it. So I think you need some better evidence on that particular point. The potential benefits on the argument, I thought you did okay on. You had some information on that, and there was again a good counterclaim about the impact of the parents on the process, which might mitigate the advocate's claims to some degree. On the issue of learning, you're going to rely primarily on some counterexamples, and that's okay. I do think in the presentation you do a lot of reading. You need to look up at us a little bit. Sometimes your pronunciation is affected by the way you're rushing through and doing the reading, and you'd be a little bit clearer if you took your time and spoke to us instead of at us. All right. Thank you.